どうしたいつまでそっちを見てやがる11番隊隊長ザラキケンパチだてめえと殺し合いに来た
Kenpachi Zaraki is known for many things within the world of Bleach. He's the captain of the 11th Division, he's the guy powerful enough to cut anything, and he's one of the 5 most dangerous Soul Reapers in the entire verse. All of these titles are important to his character, and just like I did with my last Bleach video discussing Ichigo's likability, I'm going to be taking a look at Kenpachi and talking about why Bleach fans love him so much. The most obvious thing about Kenpachi is his love for battle. From his very introduction, Kubo established that Kenpachi lives for fighting. Nothing is more exciting to him than the adrenaline rush of genuinely facing a tough opponent. The rush of swinging his sword as hard as he can. The rush of cutting and getting cut. From his very first on-screen fight, we get to see the level of power that he exists on and just how differently he perceives fighting to someone like Ichigo. Being so powerful that a quickly evolving Ichigo chose running over fighting is cold enough as it is, but he follows this up quickly by having bloodlust so intense that Ichigo feels as if he had been stabbed. Then Kenpachi flexes on our protagonist in a way that not many characters have ever flexed. If you're a Bleach fan, you know the panel. He lets Ichigo get a completely unguarded hit on him, and like the absolute monster that he is, he just sits there and takes it with no damage. In fact, Kenpachi's Ryatsu is so overwhelming here that Ichigo is the one to actually take damage from this encounter. This one moment, the mere prelude to his first on-screen fight, encapsulates what is so cool about him as a character to most people. Kenpachi is a badass in a world full of badasses. He's the type of guy to walk up to the salty spittoon and get let in just because his aura lets you know how tough he is. He's the type of guy to try to square up with God if he ever died and went to heaven, or trade blows with the devil if he ever died and went to hell. Simply put, Kenpachi is that guy. There aren't many characters in fiction that have the same level of demon energy as he does, and that is by far the biggest appeal that Kenpachi has to a majority of Bleach fans, myself included. For Kubo to be able to write a character who makes a majority of the super stoic and cool characters of the Bleach world look like a bunch of babies is super impressive. In a world full of Byakuya's, Ulquiorras, Aizens, and even Ichigo himself, Kenpachi stands at the top as the one who has the most dog in him. Gosh, so obviously, Kenpachi's boisterous personality is a big factor in what makes him so intimidating even when compared to his peers. But I think a lot of Kenpachi's flexes, a lot of what makes him so scary to characters in Bleach and cool to the fans of Bleach, are his quieter, crazy moments. Helping Ichigo out mid-battle, for example. In order to get the kind of fight that he desires most, Kenpachi almost coaches Ichigo through the fights, telling him that keeping his spiritual pressure and mind sharp is key to winning this battle. Ichigo at this point is the Ryoka boy who is a danger to the status quo of the Soul Society, and Kenpachi is simultaneously coaching him and whooping his ass. In a majority of his fights, he wears bells in his hair to help his opponents keep track of him when he appears behind them for attacks. He rarely calls attention to it, but it's insane to think about that fact for a second. He's so different. He's so much stronger than everyone he ever fights that he has to give them an extra way to detect his movements. He doesn't even use both of his hands when he fights people for the most part. He does it against the likes of Noitora to cut through his hero, but that's basically it. Kenpachi genuinely doesn't need to use both of his hands when fighting against an opponent, even though doing that could literally double his striking power. He's so far ahead of the competition that he doesn't even feel a need to do something as fundamental to sword fighting as putting both of his hands on his blade.
Oh my god, he's so goddamn cool!
Don't even get me started on his eye patch, or the fact that as a child he was so powerful innately that he subconsciously restricted his power against the likes of the previous Kenpachi, all because he wanted to enjoy the heat of the battle. That's just insane to think about, and it makes it almost impossible to not like him if you enjoy the meathead smoke demon type of character. Kenpachi simply operates on a different level than me and you. Well, not so much me, but you. If you stub your toe, you get hurt. If Kenpachi does it, the table leg breaks and asks for forgiveness. He clearly just ain't built normal. And I, along with the rest of the fan base, love that he isn't. On top of already being cool just by virtue of his battle hunger, Kenpachi is also a pretty charismatic character. Not in the same way as someone like Aizen, but there's a brutishness to his actions that appeals to my lizard brain. I don't know, maybe I'm just a caveman at heart, but there is something to be said about the charisma of a character who gets cut for fun. He doesn't just easily kill people all the time and leave unscathed. He doesn't take pride in easily demolishing his opponents. He makes a show out of it. He makes it an event. He revels in the blood and damage that he takes. Sometimes he purposefully holds back, but oftentimes he subconsciously restricts himself enough to just barely beat his opponent, even though he has way more in the tank. He stalemates with Ichigo in Soul Society. He gets stabbed numerous times when fighting Komamura and Tosen. He beats Noritora with significant damage in Wako Mundo. And in his fight with Gremmy, Kenpachi keeps up the trend of close battles with his opponents. Sure, there are times when even he can't stoop low enough to struggle against an opponent, but those aren't his greatest moments. Kenpachi is at his best when he faces a fighter that he feels can challenge him, and he decides that he's going to cut loose against them. When his excitement reaches a fever pitch, when the pupils of his eyes disappear, when all that he can feel, smell, and touch is blood and gore, that is when he truly comes into his own. That is when he truly becomes someone that the Bleach fanbase absolutely loves. It is in these moments of direness when Kenpachi really shows us what he has in the back pocket. It is when he just loses himself in the fight that he becomes someone deserving of his Kenpachi title. The times when he pulls out an all-new level of strength are probably some of Kenpachi's coolest Bleach moments. Against Ichigo, it was his eye patch holding back his spiritual pressure. Against Noritora, it was his other hand. Against Unohana, it was literally his own latent potential. Against Gremmy, it was Shikai, the ability to cut any and everything that his blade touches, including meteors that eclipse a Serite, or even the vacuum of space itself. Finally, against Gerard, it was Bankai, a power so devastating that even Kenpachi's own body could not handle the strain it put on him. By the end of Bleach, his full power is so monstrous that even as a monster himself, he could barely contain it. In summation, Kenpachi's the fucking GOAT. No debate to be had about it. If you think you disagree, no you don't. And if you want to see more Bleach videos like this, let me know down in the comment section below, and subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified when I upload. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.